Hi everyone and welcome to another video. I'm lauranemacquart and today I'm going to talk about the books that I have read in the month of September. I only finished 4 books, which really isn't that much for me. I think at the beginning of the year I was reading maybe 8 to 10 books a month. I have the feeling that I'm out of the reading slump I was into, and I'm back into reading regularly. But I'm still not really hitting my stride that much. I feel like there's a lot of books that a couple of months ago I was really interested in that now I look and I'm like, meh. A book needs to be more special for me to want to read it now. And that has influenced a bit the books that I have read this month. Now, I've only read 4. One of the reasons is obviously because I am still reading this fatty, A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth. I have passed the 1100 pages mark, which means I only have about 400 left, so I have good hope that I will finish this book in October, which will be nice. Even though I'm appreciating it, I am looking forward to being done with it. Another book that I read that I really read purely for I'm feeling so blah, I should read something easy that I like, is a Dutch children's book called the Brief Decoding by Tonke Dracht. I used to love this book when I was a child. I didn't actually own this, it was a book of my brother's, but a couple of years ago the Dutch bookshops brought out this book again. Every year they bring out one book for €1 so that everybody has access to it. So when I saw it, I immediately know that I wanted to buy it. So this book is in English, the title is The Letter for the King, and there is a Netflix series that has been made about this. That Netflix series is loosely based on the book. It takes on a whole magical thing that is not at all in this one. This is just a easy adventure book in a knight's world. We have got the young Thiuri, who is supposed to become a knight, and the evening before that happens, he's in a chapel with other boys, and they have to, for the whole night, stare at a candle and not open the door to the chapel, and someone knocks on the door, and Thiuri decides, well, I need to help this person, whoever they are, and he is tasked to bring a letter to someone else, and that person ends up dying, and he is then given this task to bring the letter that is supposed to save the realm that he is from, but also the neighboring realm. He doesn't know the content of the letter, he just knows that he needs to keep it secret, and that he's being chased, and that sets him on a mission. So for a couple of weeks he travels, and like I said, there are people after him. He can't talk about what the letter is. It's easy to read. I liked seeing Thiuri again. I liked seeing his friend Piak again. Reading now, being a little bit older, I still think it does kind of stand the test of time. It's not as other children's book that now I read like Narnia, I'm like, oh god, what is this? But I will say that there are really not a lot of women in this. I think there may be 2. Yeah, that's approximately, and then one becomes a love interest that does nothing in the story. But yeah, it was delightful to read this again. I also DNF'd a book this month, and that was Agnes Grey by, I think it's Anne Bronte? I'm not even sure. It's one of the Bronte sisters. So it was the book that my book club was going to read, so I started listening to the audiobook, and it did not work. I think, it did not work for me, I mean. I think if I had not been in this weird mood, I might have finished it. But now for my mood right now, it was just so boring. So Agnes Grey is about Agnes Grey. She is a young woman whose family is not that wealthy. So she decides that she wants to become a governess, and at the beginning her family does not want her to do that, but they're very protective of her. So she's kind of describing her life, and she was describing, oh yeah, they won't let me help with the sewing, they'll help me with this, and while she was saying that, I thought, but this is a 10-year-old girl probably. I mean, if you're not allowed to help with the sewing, if you're being protected in that way, it's because you're young. That's what I thought. Turns out she was 18. So that's how protective they are of her. And then she is allowed to become a governess, and the first family she goes to has terrible children. So after a while she is dismissed, and then she goes to the second family, and that's where I thought, okay, I'm done with this. And the reason I'm done with this is because there wasn't anything happening. I think I was already over halfway through, and everything was told in such a descriptive way that even things that could have been, that are worse, I suppose, plot points, did not feel like plot points. She's just describing the family that she goes to, she's describing her life, she describes every person in the family and then how they are together, and then it's it's the way she was dismissed, and there wasn't a storyline to it. And maybe that changes in the latter part of the book, but even the second family that she goes to, she was just describing this person, describing that person, describing that person. It felt like a very old way of telling a story. It was so respectfully told, like, oh, I'm not sure anybody will be interested in my story. It was really not for me at this point. So yeah, I ended up DNFing it. It does mean that I think for the third time in a row now I haven't been at my book club, and that does hurt a little bit, but hopefully I'll make it to the next one. But yeah, DNF'd Agnes Grey. If you finished it, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts, and if it's worth it in the end. Not that I will ever pick it up, I think. Luckily, I did read some other books that I did love. Once I decided that I DNF'd Agnes Grey, I picked up something totally different on audio, and that was The Survivors by Jane Harper. So that's a kind of murder mystery thrillery thing. I've previously read The Lost Man and The Dry by Jane Harper, and I really like her style. And this one, The Survivors, is her latest book. I think it came out last year. So this one is also set in Australia, but near a beach, and it is also a secluded community, just like with the other books, because people only go there in the tourism high season, and the rest of the time it's a closed off town, and the people know one another, and there is, like every closed off community, that the ties are very strong, and therefore sometimes there's also a lot of stress. And at the end of the tourism season, this girl is found dead, and we follow the story from the point of view of a man who comes back because his parents are going to move out. So he comes back, and we find out that something happened to him in his past, and that is loosely based also, as you can imagine, to the disappearance of this girl. And the disappearance, I mean the killing of this girl. It's like the other books, it's Jane Harper kind of builds it up very slowly, and I think that in this one sometimes the middle part was a little bit slow. I liked the plot, I liked the characters, it was very easy to listen to, it was entertaining, I didn't want to know what was going on. I didn't really see the ending coming, so that was nice. But yeah, there was a middle part that nothing was happening. That felt a little bit slow, but otherwise I really liked the book, and I think that if you like Jane Harper, you will also like this one. So I'd recommend it for that. I also read Half of a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I said in my last video that I was going to talk about this book in this wrap-up, but actually I read this book for the Invisible Cities project because I think in the month of, what comes before September? July, Nigeria was one of the countries, and I still had this one on my shelf, so I decided to pick this one up. But I ended up finishing it in September. But as it is a Invisible Cities book, I will treat it in my separate Invisible Cities video, which I think I will film, so it will come up next week. For now, I'm just going to say that Half of a Yellow Sun is a historical fiction that we follow three characters in the 1960s. We see how their lives are influenced by the civil war that was happening in Nigeria at that time, and I appreciated it. But again, more in my Invisible Cities video. Last book that I want to talk about is a new favorite, I would say. It is Greenwood by Michael Christie. First, let's look. It's about books, and we've got, this is what the pages look like, which is pretty cool. So this is a book. Yes, it's a book, thank you. This is a book that I really like. I liked it so much, in fact, that I had gotten it from the library, and 3 days, I think, before I had to bring it back, I was like, oh wait, I need to start reading that one. Started reading it. Liked it so much that I ordered it maybe already on day 2, and on day 3 I realized that I was not going to be able to finish it before I had to bring it back. So I was like, oh, what am I gonna do, what am I gonna do? I knew so I had to bring back the book on day 3, and I knew I was gonna be able to get it from my bookshop on day 4. But I decided, against all odds, to finish it on day 3, so too late that I could give it back. So I had to pay a fine, I think it was 30 cents or something, So on day 4 I went to get this book from the shop that I had ordered, and then I brought back the other book that I had just finished. So that's how much I really like this. So it's a family saga. I think 3 to 4 generations, and their whole lives also have 3 trees through them. We start in 2035, I believe, in a kind of, it's not really post-apocalyptic, but there has been some drama in the world and people are not surviving very well. 2038. Look, let's see, you have this at the beginning of the book, so this is a tree trunk thingy, and you see here maybe we start at 2038. Then the next story is the father of that girl in 2008. Then we get the mother of that boy. That's the story in 1974. Then we get a piece in 1908. And then we go back to 1934, 1974, 2008, and 2038. So you've got, it's like a linear. You start at the edge, at the end, and then you go back, 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 middle, and then to the front again, if that makes sense. So in 1938 we meet a young woman, and the world that we live in does not have a lot of air. No, it has air, but there's a lot of, it's not powder, it's... I just realized this is the Dutch version of the book. No! I want the English. No, I ordered the wrong one. Oh, I'm so stupid. No, I want this book in English, not in Dutch. Oh, okay, I'm gonna have to think about that. Anyway, there is, now I'm not gonna be able to find the word. You know when you're cleaning, there's dust. There's a lot of dust because there are hardly any trees left in the world. And she lives in one of the few places that there still are trees, and it's some kind of island. These trees are protected, and very rich tourists can come to the island to see these majestic trees. And there is this man that comes, and he has information about her past. So he has got this book that tells the story of her grandmother, or her great-grandmother even. So after that we kind of get the story of her father, and then we get the story of the mother of her father, and then we get the story of the generation before that, and about how, so the grandmother of this girl kind of has a mysterious past, and the middle part of the book is mostly about her mysterious past, and you kind of don't know how a lot of the pieces fit, because there is kind of a puzzle, not necessarily a puzzle, but there is, you don't really know how some of the stuff came to be, so there is a mystery to this. It's mystery, family saga, because you see as well how one generation influences the next, who influences the next, and you have got a lot of trees, not just trees as in how they are there, but most of the people have something to do with the industry surrounding trees. So the grandmother will say she's an activist, and she kind of destroys machines that destroy trees. Her son, so the father of the girl at the beginning of the book, he's a carpenter, and they're kind of all linked to trees, and they have this feeling also with trees. So trees are woven into it. I really like this. I thought the pacing was good. I thought the characters were interesting. I would say that the father was the least interesting. I didn't really see how his story added anything to the book. I understand that he's part of the chain, but yeah, like I said, he doesn't really add anything. I really liked the middle part, the characters at the beginning of the 20th century. Those were very interesting, and I would have liked to spend even more time with them and see, there's a part where we kind of would have liked to see more of their lives even. So yeah, love this, and I'm kind of bummed that I have the English version. Nah! I'm gonna have to really think about what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'm gonna give this book to someone. Is there someone whose birthday is not too long that I can gift this book to, so that I can order the English? I'm gonna have to think about that. Anyway, would definitely recommend this to a lot of people. Those were the books that I read in the month of September. I think I really liked most of them. Greenwood was definitely a new favorite. I really liked Half of a Yellow Sun. Brief for the Koning was really good to see that an old favorite is still, I still appreciate an old favorite, and The Survivors was just what I needed at that time. It was just the right type of pacing and a mystery and etc. So yeah, really happy with my reading month. And that is, I would say, one of the positives of this kind of reading mindset, is that the books that I do read are books that I'm really liking, because the other ones just don't make it really quickly. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in another video. Bye!
Ba-chum, ba-chum, chum.